was riding
high. He's halfway out.
Imagine you started riding right when he fucking fell off.
Nah,
bro.
Imagine
supporting a half. Like, he was like, yeah, bro, I'm a half.
Yeah. Because I'm the truthful. You know?
Stand or not.
I can't. I just, no. I'm an Eagles fan.
So when he's an MVP candidate this season.
We're here.
No. We're here.
The thing is, MVP or not, I'm always here.
Well, listen, that's a question.
I don't know. You weren't here last year.
How?
Because when we were losing, you were sitting there mute.
I also picked you guys. I picked against you guys in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. You don't be here. You could be right. You don't be here.
The team was ass.
Hey, listen, brother.
It was bad.
The Jets were ass. You were there.
He acknowledged they were bad.
I did.
He didn't trust Jalen Hurts enough. He always says great ones get you one.
Yeah. Got him fucking 2 of the previous year.
I
was about to say 3.
Listen, man, I'm here whether we suck or we nice, you know?
Hey, listen, I think the Eagles have some optimism.
You like the Bills more than the Eagles quite easily.
No, I like Josh Allen more than Jalen Hurts.
Oh, no, Josh Allen is more entertaining to watch, 100%.
I mean, Josh Allen is
great.
One of the most.
He's different. He's different.
A legend.
I don't know. I could say that about you.
With what?
That you like Detroit more than Denver.
No, Tua.
Tua. Sorry. Tua more than Denver.
That's accurate. Easy.
That's embarrassing.
We'll never run from that. We're the worst team in the game.
So?
It's hard to be
a fan. You're a bigger Curry fan than a Bulls fan.
Oh, you're cooking. I was a Bulls fan. D Rose was there, man. Those are them days.
That's the same shit with Denver.
Yeah, Tua at least gives me something that I can smile about.
You're done?
I've been told you guys I'm done.
You want to know what was the biggest highlight of my fanhood last year? We did go on a run. We did beat the Chiefs. We did beat the Bills.
Shit.
We did beat the Vikings. And then losing to Texans, that's kind of when it all fell apart.
That Bills game was so crazy. It was the
Bulls
fakest
wanted
game
to lose
ever, bro.
so bad. I told you, bro, if Zach Levine's still in the team at the end of the summer, I'm done. I told you that.
I don't know if they're going to have a choice.
I would never turn my back on Denver.
Oh, well.
You're turning your back on Chicago.
Yeah, I'm gone, bro. If he's there in August, I'm done. Like, I would take anything at this point. Just throw a first from 2029.
He's pretty terrible to have on your team.
Get 40 mil. He doesn't even play.
Future Sixer. Here
when
we
he
go.
does play, he is good.
He's good, but I don't got time for that. Like, I want to reset.
So what do you want to talk about Jalen Hurts here, brother?
Listen, I think just with the Philadelphia Eagles in general, there's a lot more optimism heading into this season. The defense has made some additions. Vic Fangio's coaching the defense now. But Jalen Hurts came out and said, 95% of the offense is new. And compared to last year where Brian Johnson was running versus what Kellen Moore potentially is going to run, I think it leads to optimism on what this offense can be. And if we should expect an MVP level season from Jalen Hurts, do you think he's going to be a top 3 candidate?
Top 3. Regardless of what you think of Jalen Hurts' 2023 season, it had some ups, it had some downs. After week 11, he was the odds-on favorite to win. Or excuse me, co-favorite. Him and Patrick Mahomes are both like plus 300
we were running shit.
To win MVP.
It was special.
To win MVP, you need 2 things.
He was coming off the Bills game.
It was unbelievable.
The overtime was crazy. To win MVP, you need 2 things. You need to win a lot of games, and you need to put up numbers. I am 100% confident the Philadelphia Eagles will do both of those things in 2023.
Oh, it's about time.
2024.
2024.
I'm confident the Eagles do both of those things in 2024 because they did it in 2023.
Shout out, Rudy.
Last season was really ugly with the Eagles. The first half was beautiful. I thought we were just having a smooth 2022 to 2023 transition. Philly was going right back to the Super Bowl. But the second half of the year, I think Philly's own offensive coordinator had other plans. Because the way Brian Johnson ran this offense last year, you don't have to be the highest or the highest on Kellen Moore. You could think he's just a run-of-the-mill average offensive coordinator. In my opinion, Brian Johnson is a bottom 5 offense coordinator in the NFL this year. Last season. Yeah. He was terrible. The amount of weapons they had, the amount of talent you have from quarterback and Jalen Hurts, the offensive line, the weapons, the tight end, even the running back with DeAndre Swift had his moments. To have that great of a roster and to lose all of the games you lost down the stretch when you were beating San Francisco and you were beating Buffalo and Kansas City, you're beating the best teams in the league. The Seahawks come to town. You go to Seattle, it's over, Riv.
We didn't beat the San Francisco.
Excuse me.
They beat the Niners. Yeah.
Kansas City, Buffalo.
Yes,
Niners is when things went downhill.
It went dark after that.
But God forbid you played the Washington Commanders, man.
We lost to the Giants.
God forbid you play the Giants. God forbid you play the Seattle Seahawks. They look like a completely different team, a team that wasn't prepared more often than not. It was a really ugly end to the 2023 season, but one thing about me, and one thing that I know about Jalen Hurts, he plays better when he's got that chip on his shoulder. He knows all the talk this offseason about his name, about what he did and what he did not do last season. Even when this man was 11-1 before the losing streak happened, Still dirt on his name, 11-1. Best believe Jalen Hurts going to be top 3 in MVP, brother. Best believe Jalen Hurts going to do that.
He had a purpose before y'all had an opinion.
Damn.
I try to tell y'all, man. I'm looking at this game log to end the season. A loss versus the 49ers. He threw a motivational quote out there after the game. It ain't work clearly against the Cowboys because he lost that one either. Another quote he threw in clearly didn't work. They lost against the Seahawks.
What was the quote?
I can't remember.
Oh, okay, chatting shit. Respect him.
But I know he has a quote after every press conference. Against the Giants, they kind of won. So, what he said, it mattered. The Arizona loss was terrible. So was the Giants
Tyler
loss.
had a game.
Yeah, you look at these games, and it's 6 games. They went 1-5. Jalen Hurts had 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 77 passer rating.
How many rushing?
Completed 62% of his passes, 724 rushing yards, so a lot, and 5 touchdowns on the ground. These weren't great numbers from Jalen Hurts. Listen, I think last year the regression from Hurts was predictable. We had this same segment last year if he's going to be an MVP candidate, and I didn't think he would be because of this loss of Shane Steichen.
You were right for 5 weeks.
No,
6.
I was right in
for
totality.
6 weeks. No, because
you were wrong until you were right.
I don't think Jalen Hurts was playing great when they were 11.
You may not think that, but he was a top 2 candidate for
conversation.
10 straight weeks.
No, yeah, but I think he was a top 2 candidate because they were winning, not because of he was
But
playing
that's
at
what
an
you
elite
have to do
level.
to win MVP.
Because I don't think he was playing I don't think at any point in the season he was playing better than Josh Allen. But Josh Allen's team just they had some losses that kind of weren't his fault. Jalen Hurts I think had some incredible moments, but I think the regression was predictable. When you're going from Shane Steichen to Brian Johnson, who was unproven and never called plays before. I also think that it was predictable because when he was pressured in 2022, he was 35th in EPA. Without pressure, he was 11th. So with pressure versus without pressure, he turns into a different quarterback. And then versus man, he's number 7. And then versus zone, he was 27th. So against zone, he was much worse. And the 2023 slate of opponents, he was facing teams that played zone much more, that pressured much more, that had better defensive lines, that had better run defenses. In 2022, they faced the easiest schedule of opponents in the league, and they were kind of in the upper half of hardest schedule in 2023. So I think going from 101 passer rating to 89 is a huge drop off, but I don't think it's totally telling of the season that he truly had. I think he had a better season than what the numbers showcase just because of how bad Brian Johnson's offense really was. I think they had no answers against the blitz, and I'm curious to see what Kellen Moore now installs in his offense. He's gotten some great years out of Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott is a little bit better than Jalen Hurts as a thrower. I think Hurts offers more as a rusher, but what's going to be 100% a fact is that the run game this year, the creativeness with Kellen Moore, it will be there. I think with the Chargers, he didn't have the ability to truly maximize his system because he didn't have the personnel with the Chargers. I think with the Eagles, he'll have the personnel. And the answer that the Eagles had all year long last year against pressure was throwing go balls. I think this year it's going to be much more hot reads. It's going to be much more quick game. And I think that's something that Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts are both going to have to adjust to because Jalen Hurts, to this point in his NFL career, he's been a shotgun-heavy quarterback. Kellen Moore with Dak Prescott, they ran a lot of under center stuff. Same thing with Justin Herbert. So I think there's going to be an adjustment period that Hurts is going to have, just running more under center stuff. But I think in the long run, it's going to make his job easier as a quarterback. So I think he'll have a much better year. I don't know if he'll have an MVP level type year. I think he'll be one of the better quarterbacks. I think he'll be a top 10-ish quarterback. But I think there are a lot of other quarterbacks that are gearing up to have that type of year. I think Lamar Jackson will have another year like that if he stays healthy. I think Patrick Mahomes will, of course. I think Josh Allen will be in that conversation. I think Justin Herbert, from a volume standpoint, might not be there, but I think Justin Herbert's season this year, it could be very reminiscent of Lamar's back in 2019, where their rushing attack is what's getting them into advantageous field positions, and he finishes the job.
They were the 1 seed that year?
They were, yeah. But even if that name is too much for you, I think
just won't win enough games.
I think CJ Stroud is in a position to have a better year. I think Joe Burrow also, having his injury last year, I think he's going to come back this year and be ready to go. So I can see him being a top 10-ish quarterback. MVP, being an MVP, I don't think it's in the cards. I think he had his chance in 2022. That was his best chance because the Eagles won so many games. They were unbeatable that year. I think that was a year to win. I think he'll always be around a top 10-ish quarterback, but I don't see him winning MVP.
A lot of talent on this team.
Do you think?
A lot of talent on this team, and I think now that you add Saquon to this mix, virtually, how do you stop them, right? You have to hope that you get pressure on Jalen Hurts and hope that he decides to rush and make a bad mistake. But now, in rushing, who are you dumping off to? You're dumping off to Saquon. That's a great safety blanket, especially considering that they had Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift, who, of course, you guys know that I was high on DeAndre Swift coming into last season. Started off well, but obviously the wheels definitely fell off very, very quickly. Was not that good. But now it's Saquon Barkley. Now it's a whole different story. Now you get both explosiveness, you get strength, you get hands, you get such versatility from Saquon Barkley. You pair that alongside A.J. Brown, who put together a top 4, at worst 5 season last season. Smitty is a top 15 receiver in this league. At the worst, top 20. Dallas Goedert, still a great tight end option, although didn't have the best of seasons last year. There are such a great supporting cast that he has around him. No Jason Kelce, that's definitely a blow, no doubt about it. But with Kellen Moore calling plays, I feel a lot more comfortable if I'm Jalen Hurts. And I think that they'll find a way to maximize his talent, his attributes a lot better. Throwing the deep ball, I still think that he's still a great deep ball thrower. It's just a matter of reading the field and not making rush decisions, staying in the pocket and trusting his guys. And I think that with this run game being as great as it should be going into next season, it'll really be hard to sell out on one. You really can't do that. With Jalen, if he just continues, if he can just stay healthy this season, to me, yes, this is an MVP candidate. There are a lot of great quarterbacks in this league. So a lot of those quarterbacks get the tag. You said all those names, and I know you just happened to leave out your boy Jordan Love. I know you believe that that's an MVP candidate, but that's a dark horse MVP candidate right there too. I know Joel knows that for sure. You mentioned C.J. Stroud. That's another dark horse. Of course, Aaron Rodgers could be there. You didn't even mention Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's another one that could be in conversation for it.
Kirk.
Lamar Jackson every single season. I won't mention Kirk at this point in time, especially because I don't know what you're going to get.
No, they have the number 1 easiest schedule in the league.
That's fine. I think Kirk Cousins will put together great numbers.
Wins, okay, but
if they get 12 wins and he throws for 30 touchdowns, he's not an MVP candidate?
Didn't Hurts throw for 30 TDs when he had 14?
He's a candidate, but I don't think he's a serious candidate.
Yeah, total, yeah. Not through for them, though.
So, to me, I think this Eagles team will be a lot better than it was last year. Clear up a lot of holes on the defensive side. They go and they add, if I'm not mistaken, they were the team to go and get Quinyon Mitchell. Isaiah Rodgers is now coming back this upcoming season. And they also did get Cooper DeJean, if I'm not mistaken.
Chauncey Johnson got back,
and C.J. Garner-Johnson is now coming back to town, too, to help solidify that secondary. I mean, they did everything they could to solidify that side of the ball. And, of course, they go and they add Saquon Barkley, who you could argue is the best running back
Bryce
available.
Huff, too.
And getting Bryce Huff on the line. And
He wasn't too high on those additions.
Who?
You. The free agent ones, not the draft ones.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No, I think he was upset because he had no linebacker.
Yeah, they didn't get anybody in the secondary, and they didn't go and they didn't get a linebacker, which were 2 strong needs of theirs.
Oh, I agree
but
with you.
the draft, they went and they dropped Will numbers. They were fantastic. And on the offensive side, again, I'm not too keen on you giving a lot of money to Saquon Barkley, but that was when I didn't know if they were going to get somebody in the secondary.
Yeah.
And obviously, defending in this league, especially with the plethora of wide receiver talent that there is, that was a huge need. But they definitely addressed that in the draft. I have no concerns for that side, especially if they're going to stay healthy. They are young. It'll take a couple to get going. But Quinyon, that was my favorite cornerback in this draft class. And Cooper DeJean, I mean, the fact that you were able to get him, that was a luxury. Who knows? You might be able to play him at safety, given the fact of now you have Isaiah Rodgers, you have Quinyon, obviously big play Slay, even though he's getting to the back end of his career. This offense is going to be fun to watch, and I can't wait for it.
We have a couple other younger guys, Ringo, and is there somebody else? Like our secondary, just in general, are young, and I'm pretty sure Bradbury's not going to be playing corner no more. He may be playing safety. From Eagles today, man, had to read up.
Did Bradbury come back?
He's on our team. Yes.
Yeah, you have Josh Jobe.
Yes, he's young too.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are not that good though.
Hey, listen, brother, young. Rigo is a rookie, man. You know? Seemed like your Cowboys, how they flopped out, and they're not good anymore.
I think the Cowboys are shit.
They're gonna be similar to how they've been in years past.
Yeah, I bet.
They're gonna win games in the regular season, but they're not contending.
Eagles today, apparently from camp, there's a lot of motion. Dallas said there's a lot of quick throws to tight ends, running backs leaking out in the backfield. Hurts talking about 95% of the installations are new. You said the receivers and AJ and Smitty are going to have more freedom, which is what I was pretty upset about last year. I thought AJ Brown was kind of able to do what he wants. Smitty didn't get the full freedom to kind of open up his game, and I think him is like he's like such a great receiver in my eyes. But the question is, can Jalen Hurts be an MVP candidate? I think it really depends on how good you think the Eagles can be. If you think the Eagles can be a top 3 team in the NFC, then I don't see why Jalen Hurts can't be an MVP candidate. I think having A.J. Brown, having Smitty, having a new offensive system, I thought last year it held him back. Having this system now will, of course, open up his game more, but I also think having Saquon, like you mentioned, in the backfield, in the run game, leaking out and getting throws in the backfield will also help his game. And then, of course, you can never forget Hurts in the run game, adding on that to his statistics. If the Eagles rack off another 12 to 14 wins, Hurts will be in that conversation no matter what. I know you named guys that are better than him, and I agree. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, those are guys that are better than him. But I don't think the MVP conversation always has to be who are the best guys. And we saw it in 2 years ago when Jalen Hurts' team. Actually, he was 14-1. The team went 14-3. He lost one game, and he was top 2 MVP candidate. Then last year, you saw they won 10 in a row. I believe we were like 10-1. He's been a top 2 MVP candidate back-to-back years for the most part. So to say he can't be in a conversation again, I don't know. I think as long as they continue to win games, the defense has slightly improved. You still got a lot of young talent on the line in Carter and Davis. The secondary is a little bit young, so it's going to take them some time. The only concern for me with this team is the linebackers. I think that's the only real issue. But aside from that, I think the offensive line, shout out to Kelsey, I think you still have Lane Johnson, you still have Jordan Mailata, you're still going to be okay. But I think Hurts this year, I think he's definitely going to be in the conversation because I think the Eagles are going to be right back in the fold this year. I think they're going to be a top 2, top 3 team at minimum in the NFC.
So earlier in the show when I talked about the Eagles and their losing streak, I mentioned the team rushing yards when you asked me Jalen Hurts is. Jalen Hurts
just say 700.
Yeah, facts.
No, that was for the season.
Yeah, facts. That was in that, during that streak. For the season, Hurts had 660. In that stretch of games, he had 195 and 4 touchdowns. So he still was pretty impactful. What I'm the most curious to see with the Eagles is I know they added talent in the secondary, and their defensive line should improve with the young players they have there. Linebackers are really the backbone of your team. And if you have terrible linebackers, the entire game plan kind of falls apart.
Yep.
And they don't have any right now that are you can rely on. Zach Bond right now is fighting to start at linebacker, and he's somebody that with the Saints, he was used as an off-ball guy, and
Nichols
he was
isn't
an
on the
edge
team anymore.
Rusher. You said Nichols?
Nicholas Morrow?
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know if he's
Devin
on the team.
White's on the team.
I know Devin White's on the team.
Facts.
I think the linebacker battle is Devin White, Zach Bond,
and the rookie. We just had him. What's his name?
N'Kobe Dean.
Nolan Smith.
Yes. Was he a rookie last year?
Are you talking Nolan?
No, N'Kobe Dean. Nolan, I think he's an edge, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Nolan is listed as a backer.
Yeah, he's probably just because he's an edge, like an outside linebacker. That's probably what they list him as. But yeah, that's my biggest concern with the Eagles. I think everything else kind of can figure itself out, but it's just the linebacking core, and offensively they'll be fine. You think the Eagles will be really good this year?
I think, but last year though, to piggyback off that, I think last year we hit a point where we also couldn't get to the quarterback. It was a point where our defensive line just completely got objectively bad, and we just couldn't get to the quarterback. Our linebackers didn't know what was going on. Our corners just couldn't cover. So it just went from level 1, level 2 to level 3. Yeah. Everything just went downhill from there.
The game that exacerbated that was the Arizona game.
It just got bad.
Arizona had such a game-specific game plan, and they really picked apart at every single weakness the Eagles
Gannon
defense
going
had.
back to Philly, he knew too.
He knew exactly what to do.
Yeah, 30th ranked defense last year, so the defense should improve at least a little bit.